and we are firing on all cylinders.
Right. Did you see the thing I dropped in the infamous group thread about the fried chicken topped deviled eggs?
No. Nope. And good morning.
Yes, good morning.
How you doing, Sugar?
Good morning. I'm great. And before anybody asks, yes, I know I'm not wearing the leather jacket. I know I'm wearing the Georgia hoodie, and I make no apologies for it because, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't even have enough fingers to count how many times Georgia won this year.
So, our Bulldogs are whipping that ass.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
that's
it's a good thing.
Go Dogs.
Yeah. Anyhow. Yep. 2 more games, and then it's the playoffs. And dude, it's funny, okay? Like when you're really in love with a sport or a team or something like that, you have this bizarre relationship where you're like, oh man, this is great. But then like when the game starts to come on, you're like, okay, you get a little nervous, and it's exciting to watch, okay? But you are keenly aware at any point in time that rug can just get yanked right out from underneath you, baby. So the rivalry game happens the last week of the year. That's Georgia Tech, right? And Tech is a cream puff team. However, they say that you throw out the rankings in the rivalry games because when you've got the pride on the line, which, yeah, I've seen it happen. And then you've got the SEC title game, and that's going to be against LSU, who's a good football team. No, they are not the cream puff that Georgia Tech is.
Okay.
And then
I've been told LSU is essentially the only threat that Georgia will face.
I don't know that I'd go quite that far, but just by the math and the stats, like LSU beat Alabama this year, for example, which is, that's a feather in your cap right there.
As I understand it.
Yeah, so
the rolling tide is, it's more impressive than the red wave, generally.
Yeah, okay. We're not a sports show, so
Fit Life with Danny. She says Tech just beat a ranked opponent. WTF is that? I don't know what to tell you. I mean, maybe they've improved their math skills. I mean, football is essentially a game of math and impact. You would think You would think a technical college known for its engineering department could figure out how to throw a football.
Well, here's the thing, though. Your minimum threshold for math versus your minimum threshold for violence in football, they are not proportionate to one another.
No, apparently not.
Okay? You could have a much lower threshold for math than you can for getting hurt. And
see, you guys know I'm not a big football guy. I'm just a big guy. I actually played on an Army Navy skirmish game. There's a little tradition. The Army Navy game, the actual Army Navy game, is a huge deal, and there's a little tradition on posts where you have multiple services working, where they'll have their own Army Navy game, and it's very much just like a small intramural thing.
But it's good for morale. It's fun. It gives you something to do.
Right, and one year I was at such a base when that game was about to happen, and my unit commander came to me, and I'm 6.5 feet tall, and when I'm in great shape, I still weigh 280 pounds. And the unit commander came and said, "Lowry, I need you to come out and play football this year." Sir, I don't play football. It's not my thing. He said, no, you don't understand, Lowry. We need you out there on the field this year. The Navy's cheating. What do you mean the Navy's cheating? He says, it's mostly Marines. So I went out and played and won, and it was a lot of fun. But
Crackshot's actually not entirely incorrect. Math, it simulates war, take territory, and score a victory. I've told you before.
Correct. And there's a lot of math involved in that Crackshot.
I've told you before that football is as close to actual wizard's chess as you're ever going to be able to participate in.
That's a fair point. Wow, 10 minutes of our show 8 minutes of our show on football. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't get much more American than that. Speaking...
Well, and our audience just happens to be into that. But you're right. Speaking of American, a very American thing happened over the weekend. People voted.
The best one I saw was Elon Musk just counted like 100 million votes in 24 hours. Arizona took a week for like 3 million votes.
1.5. So it was Jack Posobiec, and what he said, I actually shared that one with you guys somewhere, but I don't remember. Oh, I know where I shared it, and yeah, we can't do that. But
no, we can't.
Jack Posobiec tweeted out that Elon Musk just counted 15 million votes in less than 48 hours. We're still waiting on Arizona to count 1.5 million, and it's been 2 weeks. And I think Posobiec makes an interesting point there. Maybe we should just elect the president via Twitter. There are fewer access points than even paper ballots.
Yeah, we can't even begin to go down that rabbit hole on YouTube. So, but I tell you what, we can talk about is the fact that a certain somebody.
I want to touch that rabbit hole ever so slightly and ever so briefly. That poll that Elon ran was receiving over 1 million votes per hour at its peak, and that lasted for several hours. And I don't know what the final tally was, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 56% to 44%. And it looked like, What's interesting here is the poll is over the question, should Donald Trump's Twitter account be restored? Overwhelmingly, the answer was yes.
Even with the bots.
On Twitter, which is an absolutely avowedly left-wing biased platform.
Cesspool, really, but yes.
Or so we've been told.
Oh, that's
that the
right.
opinions on Twitter
reality
are representative of the opinions of the American people. But one of the things that has been exposed, this is one of those where we've talked about it before. We knew it was the case. We've said it over and over again. But now that the truth has come out, it's not that we've been surprised to learn what the truth is. It's that we've been amused by the vindication of seeing the evidence to support the truth which we exerted previously, and that is that most of Twitter, especially the left-wing opinion posting, is done by bots.
Hey, real quick, I just want to say hey to Diamond Dave over on Rumble because he's watching us on Rumble, and I don't want him to feel like he got ignored. We kind of said hey to some people on YouTube and Facebook. Nothing personal, guys. It was my fault. I derailed it with my.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my fault.
It was your fault.
It was my fault.
We can all agree to that. Just like we could all agree that Trump needed to be restored.
Trump never needed to be banned in the first place. Like it was.
And the timing of Trump's banning, Twitter wanted to ban Trump much earlier than they did. But AOC pitched a temper tantrum, filed a lawsuit, and lost the crap out of it. And the law became very clear that you cannot censor the speech, most especially of a public official.
Yeah, so just to take a big giant step back, what you say about the perception of reality essentially be see that's a nice tweet. Mean tweets are back.
Do gas now. Now do gas.
Gas is the one I need to go back down to under $2 a gallon and to just stay there. Oh, I didn't mean to send that to you as a block, but I actually think it's better that way.
It works.
That's woo. That's the owner of Twitter, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, we'll get back to that. But the perception of reality being reality. Do you remember when conservatives first kind of discovered Twitter? And I don't mean they discovered Twitter existed, but they sort of collectively in the conservative zeitgeist discovered that Twitter was a thing and they could own the thing. In fact, there was this wave, I would say, of conservatism that went through all of the major social media companies, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and all of the social media companies kind of interestingly took steps to suppress it because, and I think Twitter's the most illustrative of this point, back when Twitter was 140 characters instead of 280. Like, you had to get in and get out. I mean, you had to be a ninja, baby, just like, and I'm gone, right? Yep. And since the left is basically a big emotional dump that's full of shit, it's really difficult to do that. Okay, but like somebody on the right could come in and just say, yeah, but taxation is theft.
Right, because we have the entire framework of universal truth to back up on, which means I don't have to explain all the complex premises that it takes for the mental gymnastics of my statement to make sense. I can simply say a thing that's true. Yeah, but the lefty has to craft this whole 36th dimensional Rosen-Einstein bridge thing to bring his truth in from an external reality so that you can even understand what his premise is before he can begin to make his point.
Yeah, you need this whole big, long explanation about how actually the science currently says that it's possible for blah, 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 just so that you can explain to me that you're a girl with a penis. Right? Whereas the conservatives just going to go,
dude, look like a lady.
Right? Whereas the conservatives just going to go, boys have a penis and girls have a vagina. Right? Like it's
simple, it's true, it's correct, and it's less than 140 characters.
Well, and then once you get into the snark wars, that difference, I would argue, gets even wider. Because it's like, oh, man, the government needs more money. Okay, cool, cut taxes.
Right.
That's how you give the government more money. You cut taxes. And yeah, Crackshot, I love you. I'm not taking your troll bait. And then Joe Buddy, look, I love you too, okay? But that is not the discussion we're having this morning.
Well, okay. Trump 2024 it's going to have to be part of this discussion a little bit. I mean, we're not there. We'll get to that in just a minute. Now, Sergeant Major says true is simple. Absolutely.
Yes.
And that may be the most important piece of that conversation. The other thing that the lefty trips on is once you start telling lies, even if you believe your own lies, even if you are completely self-deceived, like so much of that world is, you have to then keep up with all the lies you've told. Right? If you begin with this whole concept that love is love, and what two people do in their bedroom, consenting adults do in their bedroom, is between them and no one else's business, and therefore marriage should be just completely open and free, then you end up with stuff like the redefinition of marriage act that's being passed with the support of a dozen Republicans through the Senate right now, where they have to go out of their way in the letter of the law to explain that the slippery slope that this clearly presents will exclude pedophilia and polygamy. Even though what we're saying in this law is that anybody can marry anybody they want, no matter what, and the definition of marriage will have to do with people loving one another and be completely exclusive against the generation, maturation, and raising of children, we want to be very clear that this shiny new law that codifies Obergefell, which is under no threat right now at all, even though it should be on constitutional grounds alone, this law will not be the gateway to multiple partner marriage or child brides. And it so clearly is the case that such a law will do that they have to spell out in the letter of the law that it will not be used in that way. But we were told the same thing. Absolutely the same thing about the direction it would go when Obergefell happened, right? So it becomes impossible over time to keep track of all the lies you've told in order to keep telling the lies that you're going to tell.
Yeah, I mean, let's just bring it all the way back around. This is why they had to ban Donald Trump off of Twitter. Okay, and don't misunderstand, I'm under no false illusions. Donald Trump is a bullshitter, and he is, I think you could say, a bullshitter's bullshitter.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that. However, and this is important. Okay, Trump doesn't hide the fact that he's a bullshitter. He'd take offense if you said it to his face, but he might smile behind closed doors about you saying it, right? But what Trump is not is somebody that's going to look into the camera and tell you, if you like your doctor, if you like your plan, you can keep it.
Right. When Trump lies, he says, we had cheeseburgers stacked a mile high.
Or I did not have sex with that porn star.
And then he gets fact-checked. But when Trump lies, what he does not say is, I had no idea about my son's business dealings with China and the Ukraine.
Right. Exactly. So that's why they had to get him off Twitter. They had to remove his influence on the public conduit because Trump, love him, hate him, whatever, the man is extremely persuasive and he understands branding. He is the kind of person where, like, if you were in a room with him, he would figure out how to make the two of you buddies.
Right.
He just would. He's got a certain amount of charisma, and he understands how to exercise that charisma, okay? Now, you can love him or hate him, but he does have he's got the magic, the X factor. So he was using Twitter as this direct pipeline to the American people. Every other president in the modern era, Obama and Reagan included, who I would argue were the two best public speakers probably of the past century, they still had to get filtered through the press. Now, Ronald Reagan getting filtered through the press made him look worse, and Obama getting filtered through the press made him look better, but they still had to get filtered through the press. And Trump said, yeah, fuck all that. I'm just going to tweet.
You know, it's funny.
And it worked.
You're essentially making the argument that Donald Trump is the political equivalent to Martin Luther.
Well, I mean, man, I wish we had a meme of that, of him like nailing the Constitution to the White House door. That would be great.
Might have to work that one up.
And Rhodey's saying that Veritas got their Twitter back.
We were just talking about Veritas earlier. Viva Fry, the Canadian lawyer who's let's be real, rapid red pilling on YouTube has been just an absolute privilege to watch. Tweeted out yesterday evening that you can't say that you stand for journalism and integrity until you reinstate Project Veritas, and who was the other one he mentioned? Don't
derail.
Okay, no. If it had still been right up there, it would have been easy. But yeah, Viva tweeted, you don't really stand for journalism until you reinstate Veritas and whoever the other one was.
Okay, now here's the litmus test. All right, you gonna do Alex Jones? It's time to do Alex Jones.
And
oh, thank you, Unverified Bear.
Elon has actually said a couple days ago that somebody said, what was it? Elon tweeted out, okay, Trump's got his thing back. Who's next? And several people said Alex Jones, and he just said no. And I'd like to know what his reasoning is there.
Okay, but
because refusing to reinstate Alex Jones is basically a tacit admission that he's waving the banner for the veneer of free speech.
I have a theory on that. Okay, Elon's already bled. Currently, Twitter, on paper, Twitter's in a shitload of trouble. Now, I don't think it's actually in trouble. I think this is more or less the position Twitter was in before Elon bought it. He just forced all this to the surface. It's given cover to the advertisers to pull out. Like, oh God, like 50% of this site is bots. I'm not paying you millions of dollars to have a bunch of robots,
right?
Like read my ad to other robots to regurgitate back to other robots. Okay. And I think it's entirely possible that the Alex Jones question could come back around, but Elon just leveraged $44 billion to buy a social media platform. Like, there is a certain amount of pragmatism.
Danny says, yeah, Elon Musk bought a crime scene.
And I think that's
absolutely the case.
And I think that's a good bit of what's happening here. It's not that Elon's necessarily folding. I think at some point, he's just got to make a smart decision. Like, okay, nobody can really argue with the fact that presidents should be allowed to speak in public, but there's already this toxic layer associated with Alex Jones, and if he'd never been banned off Twitter in the first place, would probably be allowed to remain on Twitter. But the fact that he's off, the fact that Elon's probably spinning more plates than you and I know exist, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit, and I full well. But yeah, see, Crackshot points out that Alex Jones has that $1 billion lawsuit that Elon might not want shit to do with. I think it's entirely possible that this is a business decision, not a betrayal of.
And that's principles. a fair assessment. Something that everybody needs to remember about Alex Jones. Alex Jones was the test case. Alex Jones was perma-banned off of everything.
Including most of his bank accounts.
It was an obvious, and it was an obvious coordinated, it was a conspiracy. There was an obvious coordinated maneuver to remove Alex Jones from all platforms simultaneously. And we learned something important then, that free speech is an illusion. Now, under the law, we have the freedom of speech in the United States and nowhere else in the world. But what was proved when Alex Jones was thrown off of everything was that these people can do anything they want. And by these people, I mean the social media platforms, all of them, including all the ones that I'm saying these words on to be broadcast right now, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, etc. They learned and proved simultaneously that there are no consequences for their bad actions, that they can do anything they want like suppress a major news story right before an election with the Hunter Biden laptop, and there are no consequences for what is clearly a criminal activity because they're so big.
I actually have people commenting on Rumble, so I just wanted to be able to keep up with it.
I got you.
Hey, golly, it's another Steve. He doesn't go by Steve on Rumble, but I'm glad you joined us, sir.
And then, we need to start wrapping up. The last thing I want to say, and we haven't even gotten to a bunch of memes, but I said we'd get to the Trump 2024 piece. Here's what's going to be interesting. I'm going to go ahead and share this meme with you, most especially this one down here because it's hilarious.
Scroll over to it's zoomed in on the next one.
Oh.
Yeah, just go to the next.
Yeah, this one's even better. Yeah, and lead us not into temptation. I saw another one where it was cracking the joke with a bottle of pills.
It's also they're all right there, buddy.
Well, yeah, I see it. But after Trump was thrown off of Twitter, he created Truth Social. Truth Social is not nearly as prolific as Twitter. It is conservative leaning, and it is a Trump property. And Donald Trump does tweet. They call it truthing, which is just bad branding. But anyway, Donald Trump does use Truth Social and has said that he will not use Twitter again, whether he's reinstated or not. Now he's reinstated. His account is back. It exists. But the last thing Donald Trump tweeted was on January 8th, 2021, to all of those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. Right? That's the last tweet he made.
But he did not go to the inauguration.
Correct. Because that would have been an insurrection, right? You know, like the one that happened on May 29th?
Yeah, it's...
But the Donald has said that he will not go back to using Twitter. I don't know yet if that is going to prove to be true or not. It will not surprise me either way. I think Donald has enough pride and ego to lead him into making a mistake here, and I think it would be a big mistake for him not to actively engage on Twitter going into another presidential election because of the success that he enjoyed previously there, I think will be magnified dramatically by the changes that have already been made since Elon's acquisition. Hell, changes that were made, there were some significant changes in the censorship levels that were made just in anticipation of Elon's acquisition, because quite frankly, what it looked like Elon showed up and said, I'm going to buy Twitter, and the entire company went straight to the shredder machines to try and get rid of evidence.
Yeah. To really put a button on it, I think there's a lot of that is that I think is spot on. Trump would be incredibly unwise, I think, to not engage in every social media platform that is available to him, because it just is what it is. Twitter has the reach. Truth does not, for a whole host of reasons. Fair, unfair, throw those words away. Doesn't matter in this case. What matters is reality. And then it's funny, I've got a comment from Rhodey on Rumble and Unverified Bear on YouTube, and they kind of dovetail quite nicely into each other. Steve says, I could care less about Trump than I do about watching the meltdowns that he can cause, which, yeah, fair enough. And then Unverified Bear says, I've never respected any president more than I respect Trump. I don't particularly like the guy, but my God, I respect him. So yeah, it's there's a whole lot of questions, and I promise the 2024 question with Trump and DeSantis and maybe Joe Biden and maybe not Joe Biden. We're going to revisit that one a couple of times. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Well, hell, I mean, we've got 2 years. This is the earliest anyone has ever announced in a primary ever. Right? I mean, right now, officially, it's Donald Trump versus Joe Biden again.
Right.
And there's 2 full years of not just additional speculation, but time for Biden to fall down another flight of stairs or get his
Have his
finger
dogs
stuck
break
in the
his
dog
legs
in the
again?
shower or slip and trip while he's in the shower with his daughter again.
Oh, I was
Whatever.
going to say, that's not what he would get his fingers stuck in the shower, sir.
But that will be the official story because no officer wants to write anything other than hammer in his report.
Right. Just say it was a pink hammer. Anyhow, let's burn through these. It's not that many, and some of them are.
Yeah, I mean, like this one's just this perfect. I mean, it's not a. And okay, the best part about this meme, real quick. This is Elon Musk.
No, that I deliberately cropped it in this way on purpose.
Like several of these memes, the best part about them are that Elon Musk tweets them out. We haven't even gotten into this. CBS quit Twitter and then said, okay, that was a mistake. We're back now. And this is the one I was talking about. It's got Lois from Family Guy, his reinstated Twitter account, Donald Trump. And again, it's Elon tweeting that one out. Whoa. I hit the wrong button trying to switch the button real quick. This one's good. I'm not a boy or a girl. Where do I be? Outside, donkey. Go ahead and read this one.
Deanna, I realize everyone is fed up with my dad jokes. How can I stop my addiction? Whatever means necessary. No, it doesn't. The Earth is 70% water and uncarbonate. Okay. So it's technically flat. Deep nerd reference. If you know, you know.
Oh, no.
That's just one of the most infamous episodes of Star Trek. Yeah. It's one of those. And then... Not really a meme, but it's something worth thinking about. Since it was Ukraine's missile that hit our NATO ally Poland, can we at least stop spending billions to arm them now? You know.
Yeah, and since it was Ukraine's missile that hit our NATO ally Poland, why aren't we striking Ukraine? Dude! Jose Alfredo Nuno, my man, how the hell have you been? Wow! You send me a message after the show, brother. We ain't talked in way too long. Maybe, where are you? Maybe we go get a beer. I've been talking to Parks and Ritter about getting a cold beer sometime in the not too distant. We're all in Georgia, and that should happen. I think last I heard you were out in Texas, though, brother. But send me a message. Good to see you watching the show this morning. I hope you get a chuckle out of it. Oh, Arizona! Oh, you're having fun.
There's just yeah.
Ooh.
Oh.
That one.
Yep.
That one.
Yep.
Button. Yeah. White women of multiple degrees.
A $750,000 and an $80,000 SUV. It's my Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why. It's a trap.
That's a trap.
It's absolute. I just bought this new blue shirt. It's almost like we're not talking about shirts.
Almost. How many times have we said it on this show? There are no blue states. There are only red states with blue cancers. And this one finally, okay.
The left thinks they're clever. They're not.
Funny thing. Okay, so the left thinks they're clever here. They're pointing out that he got rid of all the women. And all the dudes look like they're happier now that all the women are gone. You know...
You're not having the message you think you're having.
Elon came in and said, if you don't want to show up for work and work in the office and produce productive results, then you can just quit. He fired a bunch of people. Many more just quit. Elon has reduced the employees at Twitter by somewhere between 80 and 90% now. So several thousand people have been thrown out of Twitter. And, they're trying to crack a joke here and make an accusation that Elon's getting rid of all these college-educated white women, by the way, from this cesspool of liberal bias and censorship. And I ask you, one of the problems that we've been made clearly aware of at Twitter is you've got employees making $100,000 or more a year, working 6 hours a week, basically showing up to eat free food in the cafeteria, and then bragging on the social media platform they work for about how they don't do any work.
Right.
But continuously consume company resources when they are at work without producing anything of value. So, yes, Lefty, you've made your point very clear. Women just don't belong in the workplace, apparently. Like, that's what the case study explains here.
Yeah, but the first time I saw that meme, I was like, hey, I noticed a thing. Like, yeah, there's going to be a lot less bitching in the office. Woo!
Sure, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. There's your classic misogyny right there. Right there. Okay.
All right, y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we or me, we'll see you tomorrow.
Probably just you.
Okay.
Tuesday and Wednesday, I think I'm going to be busy.
There's going to be a day or two this week that it's just going to be me because Cameron's got some stuff going on professionally, and I've got a couple of kind of video essays that I want to do that get a little intense on. So
go ahead and give Crackshot top comment before we get out of here. That's awful. That is just the worst.
Oh yeah, it's not okay to eat microwaved fish in an open floor plant office.
That's what he meant.
That's totally what he meant.
Yeah.
Love you.